Hey there, so today we have another review. This is a beer from Crooked Stave, and they've definitely expanded their availability of styles and all that stuff. I mean, when I got into craft beer, they were known for pretty much like Brett beers, sour beers, ball fermentation stuff, mixed fermentation stuff. Now they make like all kinds of styles. They've been doing it for quite a while, actually, so it's actually really cool, and they do a great job at pretty much every style that I've had from them. So Crooked State, this is Juicy West. This is a new West Coast style IPA, so I'm curious what that means. It is Idaho 7 Mosaic Eldorado, 6%, so not a big guy. And then this is... Oh, I misread that. It's not that fresh. Oof. Jeez. 1, 2... Oof. 3 months fresh? Okay. Right under 3 months. Actually, right at 3 months. Okay. Well, hey, GB, what the hell? But it was in the fridge section, so we'll see. So yeah, juicy. The beer is hazy. The beer is actually quite light. Comes in a light to medium gold color. Has a medium to medium plus haze to it. Not completely opaque, but definitely can see the shadow of my finger through. Yeah, a little flat. I can definitely get some edges of the dankness. A little bit of that kind of like melon fruit that I always get from Mosaic. What else did I get in here? But yeah, a little bit flat and plain on the nose. That's what's going to happen when you have hoppy beer sitting on the shelf for 3 months. But I did find it in the fridge, so ideally stay in the fridge the whole time. Who knows? Doesn't smell terrible, but just like lacking. Like it's definitely past its peak. So, well, ideally, ideally it's past its peak because I'm saying that, but I don't know what it should smell like. So, yeah, I mean that's fine. It's not terrible, but you know what happens is that these beers just start tasting like macro/large craft beer brands. Like it doesn't have the punchy aromatics or flavor that it should. Like it tastes fine. It honestly drinks almost like a hazy pale ale. It has obviously a little bit of haze to it. It's very, very lacking in bitterness. So they call it juicy. I mean, in my mind, like quote unquote new West Coast IPA still should be quite bitter. Like that's sort of a definitive factor. But this to me is like almost like a New England meets West Coast kind of thing, maybe, right? Like or actually not even that, because like West Coast elements include like may or may not have some crystal malt, but like this is a newer recipe, so maybe no crystal malt, but then like it should have some bitterness. It should be clear. This is sort of like an evolution of like maybe New England. This is what like old. This is how this. It's actually how this. That's a better answer. This is not Juicy West. This is old New England, which I mean, as in like 2010, 2012 New England IPA, right? Like that's sort of what these beers were. They weren't creamy, thick, and chewy and chalky and polyphenol like green and grassy. They were inspired by just traditional IPAs, but then just push back a little bit on the bitterness. Heavy amount of dry hopping, different yeast strains, blah blah. I don't think they even had adjunct grains in them, honestly. So they sort of were like these beers, or those beers were sort of like this beer. So that's what this beer is. It's not a juicy West Coast IPA. It's an old school, traditional New England IPA. There you go. Honestly, for 3 months, it's not bad. I wouldn't have full blind guessed that this beer was that old, nor that it was that past its peak. I assume the peak has a lot more richness to it. Flavor-wise, it's just hard to talk about. Like, it's a little bit grapefruity, it's a little bit melony. Got a nice aqueous quality to it. Doesn't have that kind of chunky, chewy. Again, it's not really trying to be a New England IPA. Not almost like basically no bitterness at all. Even the old school West Coast, old school New England IPAs had some bitterness to them. So really, it's like an old school hazy. Tastes fine, just nothing really exciting about it. Light grainy malt character, is relatively hoppy. Nose sort of lacks. As I smell it more, I get a little bit of this kind of like lychee kind of thing going on. So it really still holds some aromatics. A little bit of stone fruit in there too. And as I wait more, that kind of like light blueberry note that Mosaic has sometimes sort of comes through. So pretty good, actually really good for a beer that's, ideally wouldn't buy beer 3 months old. That's like, to me, like definitely past the beer's prime. So tastes very good for a beer that's 3 months old. Let's go with a solid 85. If the beer is fresher, it probably might touch an A. So let's go with like an 86 on this guy. 86. GC West definitely needs a rebrand, Crooked Stave. This is not what a new. I don't think this is what news. How about this? I don't know what new West Coast means, but I don't think this is West Coast at all. It's sort of like a pushed back juicy hazy IPA, or just a really traditional, again 2012 kind of hazy IPA, a New England IPA. Until next time, cheers. 86 later.